To make money, I work as an online dating consultant. I got an order from my boss, David Brown. And the girl he's trying to pursue is me. I advised him, you two aren't fated. She'll marry someone else. Later, he cornered me and said, honey, what do you mean by someone else? I'm a dating consultant with a 95% success rate in matchmaking. One day, a rich guy offered $1 million for me to help him chase a girl. He sent me a friend code. When I scanned it, I found it was my boss, David. Which poor girl did he take a fancy to? I switched to my other work phone to confirm the WeChat ID. Yup, it was that poker-faced guy who always wears a scowl, David. In shock, David sent me a private message on my video website account. Haven't added her yet? I snapped back to my senses in a second. Sorry, dear. The network was a bit bad just now. I'm adding her right away. This kind of good thing where I could make money from my boss and also get the scoop on him was something I couldn't miss. After noting David as generous rich guy in my contacts, I quickly sent a friend request. The chat window popped up instantly. Generous rich guy, hello. So eager? I squinted and replied, hello. Please describe your relationship with that young lady first. I'm her boss. We haven't talked much. Damn it! It turned out to be someone in our company. And it's a secret crush? My heart started pounding like crazy. I tried to hold back my curiosity and asked, what are the girl's hobbies and what's her personality like? Generous rich guy, she has a great personality. She loves to smile, and her smile is so cute. She doesn't like working but loves getting off work and having meals. I burst out laughing. Who is it? To be found out by the boss that she doesn't like working. Poor thing. Anything else? Generous rich guy, I don't know much else. Actually, she's only been in the company for 3 months. She loves dogs. There's a little dog pendant on her bag. My wide-open smile faded away instantly. I slowly turned my head and looked at the little dog pendant on my bag. Coupled with the fact that I've only been in the company for 3 months, could the poor girl David likes be me? Generous rich guy, why aren't you replying? Is there any problem? I started to panic. Of course, there's a problem. A huge one. Although David is handsome, tall, and super rich, I have a huge psychological shadow about office romances. And this pervert always nitpicks and criticizes people. If I were to date him, I'd be asking for trouble. But because I was greedy for money, I signed a contract when I took the order. It requires me to be available for consultation 24 hours a day and ensure success. And if I break the contract, I have to pay double the money. If I'd known the target was me, I'd never have taken this order. God must be joking. There's no way someone can chase themselves. Why aren't you replying? David, who has very little patience, adopted his work-style tone. I snapped back to reality in a second. Calm down, I have to calm down. Maybe it's not me. Some time ago, a female colleague who joined the company at the same time as me thought this pendant was cute and asked me for the link. Now she also has one on her bag. Maybe the person David was talking about is me? I thought for a moment and carefully probed, why do you like her? David replied, does liking someone need a reason? What a great answer. If the person he liked wasn't possibly me, I'd have given him a round of applause. It wasn't appropriate to be too obvious in my probing, so I had to resort to more direct means. I gritted my teeth and typed, you're practically strangers right now. First, naturally increase your interactions. At the same time, secretly find out what she likes, then anonymously create some surprises for her. Wait until you're more familiar and then confess your feelings. Take it slow. David asked, what kind of surprises? For example, send her a unique bouquet of flowers. I didn't sleep a wink all night. As soon as dawn broke, I rushed straight to the company. Last night, I kept emphasizing to David that the bouquet had to be unique to avoid any misunderstandings. However, as soon as I stepped into the office, I was stunned. There were flowers on my desk. Every single workstation in sight had a bouquet of flowers. Every single one. Even the men's desks had them. And damn it, each person's flowers were different. Unique doesn't mean giving a different bouquet to everyone. What a playboy move. I looked at the fiery red roses on my desk, shivered, and then glanced at another bouquet that was presumably for a woman. It was a bunch of daisies. The meaning of daisies is innocence, purity, and secret love. Both seem quite fitting. In all my years in this industry, I've never seen such a confusing client. If I ran into him, I'd really like to grab his head and shake it to see if there's water inside. Then I ran into David in the pantry. He was wearing a sharp suit and had a tall, slender build. Just his back was intimidating enough. Damn it! Usually, his coffee is brought in by the secretarial department. Why is he out here? The words naturally increase interactions instantly popped into my head. I've really dug my own grave. I didn't dare to grab his head, so I could only make a hasty escape. But the next moment, that handsome, cold face, even more imposing than his figure, turned towards me. Caught off guard, our eyes met. I stopped in my tracks instantly and forced a smile. Haha, David, good morning. You're here for coffee too. Yeah. David replied with a straight face and moved aside, indicating for me to step forward. I had no choice but to brace myself and step forward to stand beside him. The atmosphere was a bit awkward, mainly because once I knew David might like me, I had no idea how to control my facial expressions. But he didn't say a single word until I finished making my coffee. I was a bit confused. Based on how eager David seemed during our consultation, he should be in a hurry. If it really is me he likes, why isn't he saying a word when I'm right here? Suddenly, a long, fair hand reached out and turned off the coffee machine. I looked up abruptly. David's icy face was even colder than before. He pointed at my cup and said, "It's full." I thanked him repeatedly and was even more confused. Would someone act so coldly towards the person they like? Finally, I smiled and bid David farewell with my coffee in hand. He nodded faintly, not even uttering a single syllable. I was completely relieved. Who could be so cold towards their crush? Definitely not me. Humming a tune, I returned to my workstation. The moment I picked up the backup phone, my blood ran cold. David had sent several messages. Moneybags, I just ran into her in the break room. She looked like she didn't sleep well last night, dark circles under her eyes. Should I send something to help perk her up? I choked back a horrified scream, desperately trying to calm myself down. Stay cool, stay cool. Maybe another tired girl bumped into him when I wasn't around? I refused to believe it. Did you send the flowers? Moneybags, yep. What did you send? Red roses. The last shred of hope evaporated. It was me after all. Before I could process this awful news, he fired off several more messages. To avoid any rumors, I sent flowers to everyone in the company. Different flowers for each person. I'm surprised. As a consultant, you didn't consider this point. It makes me question your professionalism. Pay more attention in the future. I don't want my affection causing her trouble. I froze, surprised David could articulate something that complex. After a brief moment of conflicted feelings, I got mad. Question my professional competence? Unacceptable. I wouldn't have suggested that pointless anonymous flower idea just to probe him. My 95% success rate didn't come from nothing. But I couldn't use my real skills on him either. Was I supposed to actually teach him how to pursue me? Right when my frustration peaked, David asked again, "So, should I send her something to show I care or not?" "Don't send anything," I typed through gritted teeth. "It won't work out between you two." David? David, you don't know anything about our situation. How can you be so sure? How could I not know the situation? I knew it perfectly. Scrambling for a reason, a flash of inspiration struck. I just consulted the stars. You and this woman aren't compatible. David. Since when do consultants read fortunes? Of course I do. Love is a mysterious thing. You and this woman have no fate together. Give up. No matter what you do, she'll never feel anything for you. David scoffed, talk nonsense. Keep talking. I snorted softly and unleashed my ultimate move. Don't believe me? Fine. My insight tells me that your bouquet of roses has already been tossed. Why not go see for yourself? After hitting send, I snatched the roses and shot them like a basketball straight into the trash bin. Sure enough, David drifted past like a ghost soon after. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his gaze linger on the bin. I stole a glance at his retreating figure. He was rattled. He believed me. He was walking stiffly, his movements awkward. After pretending to work for about 2 hours, I figured timing was right. I messaged David. So? Confirmed it, right? Moneybags replied instantly, lucky guess. I won't believe it. How could she not like me? The workaholic wasn't working, he was truly crushed. I typed with a grin, bro, stop struggling. Whatever you do is pointless. What's the use? After thinking for a while, I consoled him again. Actually, that girl isn't as good as you think. Let's find someone else for you to pursue. I'll offer my service for free. David replied, huh? What kind of eyes do you have? Are they blind? She's great, okay? I blushed, and then felt a headache coming on. Why is this guy so stubborn? What on earth does he see in me? Dude, you've only known each other for 3 months. How can you be so into her? Are you acting? David sneered, aren't you good at calculating? Didn't you figure out that I've known her for more than 3 months? What? More than 3 months? Why don't I have any impression of that? I was so intrigued that I was scratching my head, but I couldn't just come out and ask. Then I had a sudden inspiration. Right. I couldn't ask as my alter ego, but I could as myself. I volunteered to deliver something to his office and knocked on the door. Come in. Mr. Brown, here are the documents you asked for. David stared at the documents without even glancing at me and coldly uttered a grunt. I remembered how active he was on WeChat and curled my lips. He looks so honest, but he has 2 faces. With this kind of attitude, who can he win over? It would be a light punishment for him to be single for life. After just a few seconds pause, David suddenly looked up, his brows knitted like a mess. Anything else? After some weighing, in the end, my curiosity got the better of me. I put on an expression of 30% surprise, 50% curiosity, and 20% innocence. Mr. Brown, you look kind of familiar. Have we met before? David's pupils constricted slightly, and then he coldly spat out 2 words. No. I was stunned and even let out an involuntary huh. David said a bit coldly, anything else? No, no more. I left David's office in a complete daze. This guy's way of thinking is so strange. What's so hard about admitting we've met before? He couldn't possibly be the beggar I gave some change to before and think it's embarrassing for a CEO to have been a beggar, right? Haha, how could that be possible? When I was going home from work, I still quietly passed by that intersection and took a look. The beggar was still kneeling there. As soon as he saw there was no one around, he took out his iPhone 13 Pro and started scrolling through TikTok. Me? In an instant, I felt like I must have been influenced by David's abnormal way of thinking. Forget it. It doesn't matter when he met me. Anyway, David doesn't show any special reaction when he sees me in person, and I won't bump into him after work. As long as I keep a cold distance for a few months, he'll naturally fall for someone else. Men, I know them well. I don't know if David was really heartbroken, but he actually didn't pester me for advice. After a few days of being on tenterhooks, when my dog leash ended up around David, I was the one who was heartbroken. I said I wouldn't bump into him after work. Is my mouth really that jinxed? Half an hour ago, I was walking my dog. Suddenly, my dog went crazy for some reason, broke free from the leash, and ran forward like crazy. I chased it until I was out of breath. Then I threw the dog leash in my hand, trying to lasso the dog's head like a cowboy. The dog leash slipped off and landed on someone's head. David seemed to be out for a night run. He had swapped his suit for sportswear, making his broad shoulders, slim waist, and long legs even more noticeable. And now, my silly dog kept circling him, reducing the intimidating aura from that impassive face. But I had no time to admire the handsome man. I forced a smile. David, really sorry, I'll get it off for you. David patted the dog's head, jumping around him. It's fine. Then he looked at me intently, his expression focused. Pretty cute. Was he talking about the dog or me? I could only give an awkward smile. From the moment I met David, I felt uneasy. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I excused myself to go home, thinking David would act like he did during the day, at most giving a brief sound of agreement. But suddenly, David lifted his gaze and said calmly, I'll walk you home. Me? This guy wasn't playing by the rules. I repeatedly declined. No need, that's too much trouble, right? David's expression remained neutral. Where do you live? Me? Xinjing Garden. No trouble, it's on the way. On the way, my foot. As if I didn't know that line. He even clipped the leash back onto the dog with astonishing efficiency. I'll hold it for you, so it doesn't run off again. Finally, with the dog's teary-eyed approval, David and I walked side by side back home. It was only then that I realized David was nearly a full head taller than me. He held the leash in one hand and tapped on his phone with the other, typing furiously. For some reason, his mouth twitched slightly. He must have been dealing with company business. While I was thinking that, he abruptly turned to face me, and I hastily looked away. David's low voice sounded, What's your dog's name? I froze, hesitating for a moment. It's Xia Dezhuang. Xia Dezhuang barked excitedly in response. I started regretting that name, it was a bit embarrassing. Old folks say a humble name helps it thrive. Ha. After a pause, David chuckled, sounds good, very healthy. Suddenly, it was like ice thawing and everything springing to life. It was the first time I'd seen him smile in the truest sense, and the first time I realized a man's smile could be so stunning. Oh my God, for a second, I was a little smitten. Seeing me stare, David reverted to being expressionless in a flash. What is it? I was at a loss for words when my head got wet. A downpour began instantly, and after David and I dashed back to the complex, he returned the leash. I said, Boss, head back early, you've worked hard. But then David bent down to pat the wet dog's head, his eyes gentle. Honestly, I think he liked the dog more than people. It's pouring outside, mind if I come in and wait out the rain? I opened my mouth, looked at the downpour, and couldn't exactly kick him out. When I opened the door, I was embarrassed. The whole place was a complete mess, with leftover instant noodles from a lazy night still on the table. Seeing David eyeing the bowl, I laughed dryly, haha. Sorry about the mess, I'll go grab a towel for you. Rushed back to the room and found the spare phone flashing. Picked it up and froze, they were all fucking messages from David. Didn't you say we have no chemistry? How come we ran into each other just from a walk? We're walking the dog home together now. She's so cute in private, and the dog is adorable too. A bunch of over-the-top compliments followed, mostly praising me. The last one had just come in, holy shit, I'm at her place now. What should I do? Damn. At this point, when someone's chased you all the way to your home, I usually advise clients to seize the opportunity. Don't hesitate, just make your move. But now, damn it, this is at my place. And what's worrisome is that David's lavish praises had me feeling all floaty. Never thought such an ice-cold guy could have this side. It's kinda cute. After snapping out of it, I shook my head hard. Sophia, what are you thinking? Get out there and once the rain lets up, tell David to leave. But just as I was about to go out, David sent another message, double compensation, those two words stabbed right into my eyes. Me? Dude, what's going on here, can't we talk this out? David was ruthless. Starting from last Thursday, you've been half-assing my consultations, and now you're straight up ignoring me, a total contract breach. I shuddered, even through the screen, I could feel the pressure. This is David in full work mode. Most importantly, your constant rain-on-my-parade behavior has seriously ruined my mood. Wait, that's the main point. I quickly tried to smooth things over. Bro, I didn't mean to not reply, I just forgot my phone. No difference. You haven't offered any useful advice anyway. What's the point of you? I was stunned. Seeing those sky-high fines waving at me, I decided to resort to some dirty tricks. Man, I'll give you a killer tip right now. Definitely useful. Oh. I could almost picture David's eyebrows lifting just a fraction. Let's hear it. If it doesn't work, my lawyer will be handling all future talks with you. I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth. Since that's the case, don't blame me for going nuclear. Take your clothes off, that's what she likes to see. Dog tycoon? Dog tycoon, are you crazy? Won't I come off as a total creep? I took a deep breath. No, just the shirt. I've got a sixth sense about this. She's totally into it and will be so hooked she won't leave. Dog tycoon, your phrasing is too. I don't think she's that kind of person. I sneered. Well, I gave you the advice. If you don't take it, can't blame me. Yup, that was my plan. Based on David's past reactions, the guy has good standards and would never actually go for something like this. If he doesn't do it, the blame won't land on me, and I won't end up behind bars. Genius at work. After happily changing clothes and grabbing a towel, I returned to the living room. The sight before me made me freeze on the spot. David's shirt was gone. He actually really took it off. I swallowed hard. His body formed a perfect inverted triangle, with 8 defined abs sharply visible, every contour precisely sculpted. He certainly had the capital to seduce me. But what shocked me more was David's black workout tee currently clamped in De Zhuang's mouth. De Zhuang shook it around like a lion dancer. I glanced between David and the dog. David looked from the dog to me. After a long silence, he pointed at the playful dog and declared, "My shirt." He bit it off. De Zhuang instantly froze, staring at David with unmistakable disbelief. Me? Bullying a dog because he can't talk, huh? Seriously? David spoke slowly and deliberately, his ears gradually reddening. He did it. Arf 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 arf. De Zhuang flung the tea aside and whined at me pitifully. I instantly decided to sacrifice De Zhuang, gave his butt a light kick, and snatched up the tea. Ahaha, I see. My training totally failed here, so sorry David. Use this towel to cover up while I wash the tea for you. David seemed relieved as he nodded and took the towel. Whether intentional or not, he sucked in his stomach, making his abs even more pronounced. Following my earlier bold declaration, shouldn't I sneak a touch to prove my effectiveness? With that thought, I actually did it lightly. Wow, amazing texture. Getting to feel those abs wasn't all bad. Feeling David stiffen instantly, I pretended not to notice and dashed to the bathroom. The spare phone buzzed again. Moneybags, OMG, she touched me. The spare phone kept vibrating with David's repeated shocked messages. Seeing the crisis resolved, I snorted lightly. So? Convinced of my skills now? Moneybags calmed down in 1 second. Just one lucky coincidence, don't get cocky. There's something I've wanted for ages. Pull this off, and I'll tentatively acknowledge your abilities. My heart tightened. Something he'd wanted for ages? Did his delusions of my greatness mean he'd make some indecent demand? I sell talents, not my body. Moneybags, I don't want her to call me David anymore. How can I get her to use my name? Just privately. I paused. That was it? So innocent? Sorry, my mind's too dirty. David messaged urgently, hurry up, she'll be back soon. Me, simple, just say it directly. Moneybags, directly? Won't that scare her off? Nope. If she bolts, I'll double your refund. Deal. Remember you said that. Returning to the living room with the swiftly washed and dried tea, David whipped around, looking slightly tense. Playing oblivious, I said, David, here you go. Thank you. David took it and put it on with a slightly stiff movement. The atmosphere fell into a subtle awkwardness. I encouraged David in my heart. Come on. Say it quickly. David took a deep breath secretly and said in a cold voice with a straight face, don't call me Mr. Brown in private from now on. Just call me by my name. I replied instantly, okay, David. David paused in his movements, his ears turning red rapidly, and responded, "Yeah." I was directly hit by an unexpected critical strike, and my heart rate soared to 180. Oh my God! How can he be so cute? David sat there for a while longer. I saw that he was itching to send a message again. I was extremely anxious. He even dared to take off his clothes when I told him to just now. And he also took the opportunity to propose that I call him by his name. If David made some excessive requests to me, should I agree or not? I noticed that the rain outside had lessened and threw an umbrella into his hand. "David, the rain is almost stopping. You should go back early." David looked out of the window and nodded. Seeing the rich guy leave obediently, I heaved a sigh of relief. After a while, I received a text message from the rich guy. "You really do have some skills. Well, do you believe me now?" "For now." I quickly egged him on. "Since you believe me, then I have to say it again. It's really not that I'm deliberately trying to ruin your mood. You and this girl, well, you really just aren't meant to be. Why don't you just give up? Yes, yes. It'll be good for everyone." The rich guy scoffed. "Oh, it's only good for you. I'm not going to give up. Instead of spending all day trying to persuade me to give up and be lazy, you should think about how to help me change my fate against all odds." I felt dizzy and collapsed onto the sofa, rolling around in annoyance. He acknowledges my ability but still won't give up. What on earth did I do to make him like me so much? Could it be that in my past life, I was Monk Tang and he was a monster? Now I'm really in a dilemma. If I pretend it's ineffective, he'll threaten me with a lawyer's letter. If I pretend it's effective, David will really think there's a chance and get really excited. Or, should I just agree to him and give it a try? Actually, David is quite cute when he's not in work mode. The thought had just popped up halfway when I quickly stopped it. "No, Sophia, have you forgotten the previous lesson? It was just a normal relationship, but after being seen by a colleague, that scumbag turned the tables on me and labeled me as seducing my superior. Everyone in the company followed the trend, sneering at me and making my life miserable. I almost got depressed and died. In the end, I was forced to resign and had a hard time finding a job everywhere. The current job was also very hard for me to get. If it weren't for Sophia, I definitely wouldn't have made it through. Before the relationship was exposed, my ex-boyfriend also seemed like a near-perfect man. Thinking about it like this, my heart hardened again. No, I still have to stick to my policy. I have to shift the blame onto David and get myself out of this mess. Then I'll be even more excessive. Fine, David, you asked for this. I just couldn't believe any man could pluck stars from the sky. But after several attempts, I was utterly dumbfounded. David's limits seemed non-existent. He fulfilled even my most outrageous demands. Company meals improved, lunch breaks extended by half an hour, overtime vanished completely. Hell, that stoic-faced guy even approved my personal vacation request. Stunned, I realized not only had I failed to stall David's advances, he'd successfully uncovered nearly all my preferences. How could this continue? Clearly, my demands weren't absurd enough. Moneybags, the movie she wanted to see premieres soon. How should I ask her out? Crap, moving too fast, he wants a date already. I took a deep breath and decided to go nuclear. Tricky, actually. First, invite her face to face in her neighborhood. Second, it must happen surrounded by a sea of flowers. Moneybags? Her place? Flowers? I glanced at the barren branches outside. Exactly. The entire neighborhood. Trees and soil must overflow with naturally grown flowering trees. Otherwise, the vibe's off and she'll refuse. Moneybags, but it's November. Where would blooming trees exist? Impossible, perfect. I gloated. Look, your astrological incompatibility demands extraordinary measures. Moneybags, first mismatched, now incompatible. Are you joking? Dead serious. Have I ever lied? If impossible, just wait till spring. David stopped replying, clearly stumped. Smugly, I drifted off. I sure showed him. Days later, reality humbled me. Returning home, I froze before a sea of pink blossoms. Crowds swarmed our neighborhood, reporters broadcasting this unnatural wonder. Inspecting the largest tree, I gasped, transplanted mature flowering trees? Every single neighborhood tree replaced. Is David insane? The manpower, resources, money, why? Did he like me this much? My chest tightened with undeniable emotion. Then I spotted him in the crowd. David frowned while searching until our eyes met. Instantly, his expression softened. He waved, that tall, composed figure striding toward me through swirling petals. Picture perfect romance. Except for his stiff, nervous walk. I nearly cheered him on as he reached me. Following my own script, David asked me out. When I accepted, the brightness in his eyes nearly blinded me, a pang twisting my heart. Before processing this, my burner phone buzzed. Moneybags, she said yes. We're watching the movie. I typed bitterly, congrats. Had a choice? His lawyer already threatened me. Then, lightning struck. David, clear your schedule this Saturday. I'll need real-time advice to avoid mistakes. Me? Have a double date right under his nose? You might as well just kill me. David said, what? Didn't you say our zodiac signs are incompatible and we need to be extra careful? I asked you to take full control. Is there a problem? I happened to have something to do that day. David said, oh, you had something to do, right? Fine. I didn't breathe a sigh of relief. Then David said, then let my lawyer talk to you from now on. My lawyer has never lost a case. I gritted my teeth and said, no. I'll do as you say. Oh, my God. I've been giving David such a hard time lately. If he knew I was that so-called master, I'd be in big trouble. I mustn't let it slip. This whole thing made me lose my appetite and sleep. Meanwhile, David was over the moon. What should I wear then? Calculate what type of clothes she likes. It'd be best to be precise about the color and style. Will the color and type of the car matter? Should I do something with my hair? I'm asking her out as a friend. Shouldn't I just suddenly give her flowers? But I really want to. Should I bribe a florist to set it up? I was a bit on the verge of collapse and said, dude, can you just relax? Are you going to ask me about every single step on the day of the date? Should I calculate which foot you should step out with tomorrow for good luck? David said, it's not a bad idea. Calculate it now. Me? The night before the movie, I couldn't sleep. The next day, looking at my huge dark circles under my eyes, I let out a deep sigh. God, when will this farce end? When I saw David, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I was worried he'd overdo it because he was so nervous before. But even in just a simple windbreaker, he was still handsome. All the way there, I was on high alert, afraid that David would suddenly have a whim and send me a vibration. However, until we were waiting for the movie to start in the cinema, my phone didn't vibrate. Huh? So is he going to handle it on his own? Just as I relaxed, David picked up his phone. Alarm bells went off in my head. Sure enough, the next second, my phone vibrated. David said, we haven't talked for 3 minutes. Will she think I'm too boring? Quickly come up with a topic for me. When I saw David's expressionless face, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. He was so cute with this contrast. David suddenly looked up and glanced at my phone. What's wrong? Nothing. Nothing. So close. I almost blew my cover. I quickly tucked my phone in. David nodded and didn't ask anymore. Another message popped up in my chat box. She seems to be chatting with someone else and having a great time. Am I too boring? Oh, my God. He looked like a puppy with its head down. My heart melted at the cuteness, and then I had an epiphany. As long as I kept talking to David, he wouldn't have time to send me messages. Then the risk of my exposure would be greatly reduced. So I kept talking until the movie started. Finally, when the movie started, I breathed a sigh of relief. Surely David wouldn't send me messages for help during the movie. Then I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. But I don't know if it was because I was too tense. The tension suddenly relaxed, and I fell asleep instantly. I even had a dream. In the dream, he stared at me with icy, chilling eyes. Under heaven, no one born can toy with me like this. Drag her off to drown in the river. No, please don't. I woke up with a jolt, saw the movie screen, and sighed in relief. Thank goodness, it was just a dream. When I turned my head, my heart stopped. David was holding my phone, my backup phone. The Facebook Messenger profile picture was flashing, and the nickname Mr. Moneybags was prominently displayed on it. David and I locked eyes for 2 seconds, and he said softly, "Your phone was ringing non-stop. I tried to help you turn it off, so..." "Aw, thank you." I froze, forced an awkward smile, and my mind screamed, "Oh heavens, what on earth am I supposed to do?" I didn't do anything. The awkwardness was overwhelming, and after David handed me back the backup phone, I bolted. I couldn't shake the feeling that if I stayed any longer, David would drag me off to drown in the river. I glanced at the chat history. While I was asleep, David had sent a flood of messages. "Ah, she's asleep. What do I do? Should I let her rest her head on my shoulder? Is that overstepping? Where are you?" They grew increasingly irate until he likely reached his breaking point and made a voice call. Unexpectedly, my phone rang. I was stunned through and through. I couldn't fathom David's expression or state of mind when he realized I was the master who'd been messing with him. Would he be crushed with disappointment? Or was he plotting to silence me? What hurt most was that I felt I'd shattered his hopes. An inexplicable ache twisted in my chest, as if the old, painful wounds were reopening. I refused to relive that nightmare. So I transferred the consultation fee back to David's account overnight, wrote a resignation letter, and, learning from past mistakes, I just packed up and left. After submitting the letter, I opened David's chat window. However it went down, I owed him an apology. Just as I was weighing how to phrase it, the status changed to typing. "David, meet me in my office tomorrow." My heart clenched. Was he so furious he intended to drown me in the river on the spot or humiliate me in front of the whole company? The next day, trembling with dread, I stood outside David's office, drew a deep breath, and knocked. "Come in." I rushed inside and bowed 90 degrees deep. "I'm so sorry. Truly sorry. David, I swear I didn't mean it. I was just overwhelmed with awkwardness and lost for words. I'll resign on my own, whatever you say. Make me pay restitution, fine, I'll pay it back bit by bit. Just please don't sue me." Saying all that in one breath made me a little short of breath. David's deep voice rang out, "Sit down and talk." His consistently cold and serious face showed no sign of anger or joy. I sat over like a pupil being scolded. "You don't have to resign. Our company has good prospects and it matches your major. Don't joke about your future." "Eh?" I was a bit surprised. Aren't you angry?" David's tone was very calm. "I have nothing to be angry about. And even if I were angry, I wouldn't do anything to you. Moreover, I'm just a little surprised. Thinking carefully, if our positions were reversed, I might also do what you did." David slightly lowered his eyelashes. "During this time, I've put so much pressure on you. You must have been very scared." "Sorry. My nose stung." "No, I should be the one apologizing. How could he be so nice?" I was really dying of guilt. "Sophia." I straightened my back. "I'm here." As far as I could remember, this seemed to be the first time David had called my name. David looked into my eyes, with slightly pink earlobes, his gaze sincere and earnest. "For me, after knowing that both accounts belong to you, my biggest feeling is actually gratitude. Fortunately, there's no real incompatibility in our horoscopes, and there's no predestined unfitness." David's eyes were bright, making my heart burn. "You should know all my feelings, right? I wonder what you think of me." I was really touched. But I still bowed deeply to David and rejected him. David was really different from my ex-boyfriend. I knew this very well. He really respected people. It wasn't the act of a bad person pretending for a couple of days, and he really liked me. I thought I might also have a little crush on David, but I really had a bit of PTSD from my ex. After hearing my successive apologies, David didn't have a sudden change of attitude. He just nodded. Rejection is your inborn right. You don't have to apologize for it. Oh my God, he was so nice. It made me even more guilty. I bowed deeply gratefully. Boss, I'll definitely work hard for the company in the future to repay you. David smiled helplessly and didn't say a word. I thought our relationship would return to the normal superior-subordinate relationship from then on. But the next day, Thursday, the company suddenly distributed KFC Crazy Thursday sets to all employees, and it was specifically said that it was a reward from the boss. Colleagues exclaimed one after another, "Damn, what's wrong with the boss today? He's in such a good mood." Looking at the chicken nuggets on the table, I felt a bit uncomfortable. Could it be because I repeated the Crazy Thursday script just now? The chicken smelled good, but I didn't dare to eat it. I knocked on David's door. "Me, ahem, boss, are you in? About that KFC. The world's best boss, what's wrong? Don't you want to eat it? Damn it! It was really because of me." "No, boss, although it's a bit inappropriate to mention this, but I rejected you, you know." "The world's best boss, I know. But there's no rule that one can't continue to pursue after being rejected, right?" I was completely stunned. David reasoned clearly, rejection is your right, but pursuit is my right, isn't it? I won't let the people in the company notice, and I won't let you get involved in any trouble. Can you please give me the right to continue pursuing you? When it came to this point, I really found it hard to refuse. I originally thought David wouldn't turn back until he hit the wall, but now I realized that he wouldn't turn back even after hitting it. Why? Why was it me in particular? I remembered what David had said before, that we'd known each other for more than 3 months, and I asked about it. David smiled but said nothing. "This is something only my girlfriend can know." What? Is he playing hard to get now? Oh well, maybe he'll learn after a few more tries. After that, at the company, things were the same as usual between us. I worked even harder because of my guilt. Every time I was working overtime, there would always be some small desserts in the company. Sometimes it was milk tea, sometimes something else. Privately, sometimes some parcels would be delivered to my home. Most of them were small toys for my pet and flowers for me. They weren't expensive, so I wouldn't feel too embarrassed. I transferred the money to David and said, "Thanks for your trouble." David didn't accept it. It's only natural to put in some effort when pursuing someone you like. I blushed. What's wrong with this guy? Since I revealed my identity, he's like a seal has been broken. He's making direct advances non-stop. The things he used to say to my alternate account are now all said to me. Moreover, this little bit of money means nothing to me. You don't have to feel pressured. Me, what? Are you showing off your wealth to the proletariat? David, yes, the evil capitalist might need a proletarian hero to subdue him. Do you want to try being a hero who rids the people of evil? I fled. David is getting better and better at flirting. I can hardly handle it. But his methods are so clumsy. He doesn't know how to play any tricks. After everyone received afternoon tea again, a colleague suddenly gossiped, "Is David in love recently?" I've noticed too. He can even smile now. He must be being nourished by love. TSK, so David isn't heartless after all. I'm even tempted to pursue him. After hearing this, for some reason, I always felt a tightness in my chest. So I got up and went to the pantry to get a drink. As a result, I ran into David's assistant. "Oh, Sophia, wait a minute." Assistant Joe stopped me. "After work, take a few documents to David's house and get him to sign them and then bring them back." Go to David's house? Just when I said David was clumsy, this happens? Assistant Joe smiled bitterly. "I don't want to trouble you either, but David has a high fever. I have to handle a lot of his work instead, and I'm swamped." I was stunned. He's sick? But this morning, I still received a message from him. Why didn't he tell me? This fool doesn't know that being sick can easily arouse a girl's maternal instinct, right? He really doesn't know how to play tricks. Besides, you and David live in the same neighborhood, so it's on your way. If you don't want to do it, you can find someone else. After saying that, he left in a hurry. Me? What? He really lives in the same neighborhood as me? Looking at the address, I was silent for a long time. Finally, I didn't find someone else to do it. It's not good to trouble others, right? And David has taken such good care of me. I should go and see him. Well, it's just about repaying a favor. It's definitely not because I really want to see him. When I saw the documents, I felt a bit sorry for David. Damn, there were so many, like a mountain. Being a boss isn't easy either. David's house is indeed in the same neighborhood as mine, just not in the same area. Just separated by a street, the housing price has tripled. What a world. I rang the doorbell, and David Brown opened the door. Why are you so late? Those documents. Upon seeing me, his words caught in his throat, and his expression went blank in an instant. How did you get here? He was wearing loungewear, his face as pale as a sheet, his hair unstyled, looking utterly innocent. I cleared my throat. David is a bit busy, so he asked me to bring them over. Cough, I cough cough cough. You come in first, then wait for me a second. David coughed a few times, the corners of his eyes flushing red. He pulled out a brand new pair of pink rabbit slippers from the shoe cabinet and hurried in. I tentatively stepped into the slippers. They fit perfectly. How did he know my shoe size? My heart warmed a little, and I slowly walked into the house. Then I saw David rushing out from the room. He had changed into casual clothes and was wearing a mask. I'm not fully recovered yet. I'm worried I might infect you. Why wasn't he wearing it earlier? Does that mean David couldn't be infected? I urged him for a long time, but David refused to take it off. In the end, I had to watch him stubbornly signing mountains of paperwork, with the mask on, and strictly keeping his distance from me. Then his breathing grew heavier, and his movements with the files slowed down. Is this really sustainable? Will he suddenly die right here? David, why not take a break first? You can sign the documents later. There's no rush. David looked up, his eyes misty bright, tilting his head slightly. Sensing something off, I hurried over and touched his forehead. David didn't dodge. When he saw me coming, he even leaned forward a bit to make it easier. Burning hot. What's this idiot doing out of bed when he's not well? I scooped David up, put in Herculean effort to carry him back to the bedroom, and immediately applied a cool towel to bring down the fever. Luckily, his medicine was right beside him, saving me from rummaging around. David, wake up, take this medicine. David opened his bleary eyes, struggling to focus for a moment. Sophia? Yes, it's me. You're finally lucid. Come on, take your medicine. David didn't move. His misty, bright gaze fixed on me for a while, then he gave a silly grin. You're adorable. My face flushed. Bro, you're burning up in more ways than one. I propped David up to give him the medicine, and he cooperated throughout, sweet as could be. After he drank it, I absent-mindedly patted his head. Good. David's smile widened, like a big kid who just got a toy. Once he finished the water, I got up to refill it. But the moment I rose, David's hand clamped onto my wrist, his pitch-black pupils fixed unblinkingly on me, his palm scorching. Can't you stay a little longer? I froze in place. David's state had me completely under his thumb, refusal was impossible. Seeing my nod, David grinned contentedly. Am I dreaming right now? This side of David was rare, so I teased him. Yeah. I see. David stared at me, suddenly wistful. At least in this dream, could you promise to be my girlfriend? David and I locked eyes for a long time. Finally, I nodded. Okay. David smiled again. Thanks. Then he closed his eyes and fell asleep. I reluctantly agreed, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I really don't know how. It's rare for me to agree sincerely. David's sincerity toward me is visible, and today I finally saw my own heart. Hindering sincere closeness because of others' faults would be too regrettable. If the other person is David, I'm willing to use a bit of courage and try with him. Held by David, I couldn't move, and being idle, I started recklessly observing his master bedroom. On his desk was a photo. I focused and saw a grassy field with a girl and a dog smiling happily. The person and the dog both looked familiar. Is that me and Xia Dazhuang? Gently releasing David's hand, I walked over and confirmed it. The outfit looked like last year. He really had seen me before. When he's better, I need to ask him properly. David woke up 3 hours later. You're awake. David saw me and seemed flustered. How long did I sleep? After checking the time, he sighed deeply. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. I smiled cheerfully. Don't be so formal. If you feel sorry, how about explaining this photo? David saw the frame, his pupils suddenly shrinking, and he instinctively glanced at the desk. After a moment, he sighed. Xia Dazhuang used to be my dog. Xia Dazhuang wasn't originally called Xia Dazhuang, he had a sophisticated name, Robin. Hearing that, my mouth twitched uncontrollably. No wonder when I called him Xia Dazhuang, he looked a bit disdainful at first. Months ago, Xia Dazhuang ran away from David's home. David posted missing dog signs everywhere but found nothing until the pet store finally told him they'd located him. But by then, Xia Dazhuang was already with me. David rushed over intending to discuss the dog issue but then realized my state was poor, taking the dog away might worsen things. So he dropped it temporarily and chose to observe from a distance. While watching, feelings grew. He gave up the dog and fell for the person. After that, you joined my company. I paused. When I picked up Xia Dazhuang, it coincided with the time I was betrayed and injured the most. If David had taken him away, I don't know if I could have endured. So why didn't you tell me earlier? I really should thank you. David was silent for a while. I thought you might not want to recall bad memories. Plus, it felt a bit creepy watching like that. I was afraid if you knew, you'd be even less willing to be with me. Holding the photo, I shrugged. That makes things a bit complicated now. I've already agreed to be with you, and backing out so quickly seems unfair? David stared up in shock. When? You agreed? A few hours ago. Really? You're not lying, Sophia, say it again. The girl's smiling face in the photo reflected the present. Perhaps sometimes fate really exists, people are tightly connected long before they realize it themselves. Since last time at the movies I fell asleep and David was too nervous to watch properly, we decided to go again for our first official date after starting our relationship. David is still a bit nervous. When we walked side by side, I could clearly feel that he wanted to hold my hand several times. But every time his hand was about to touch mine, he would pull it away. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore and grabbed David's hand. Dude, you really don't know how. In this kind of situation, you should just grab it. This is how you make a girl blush and her heart race, okay? Looking up, I saw David's face turn slightly red. He slowly nodded and said, yeah, you can teach me more in the future. I'll learn. His look directly hit my cute spot hard and also stirred up some mischievous thoughts in me. TSK, just holding hands and you're blushing like this? What if we do something else in the future? In an instant, David tensed up. I was overjoyed. But the next moment, I felt a soft touch on my face. The tips of David's ears were as red as if they were bleeding. I can do other things too, he said. I felt as if the redness on his ears had spread to my face. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to experience such happiness now. But the saying extreme joy begets sorrow is not without reason. At a corner, we bumped into a colleague head-on. Mr. David, Sophia? The colleague's eyes almost popped out. Looking down and seeing our clasped hands, she gasped. You. The scene was like a replay. In an instant, my hands and feet turned cold. However, the next moment, my hand was gently squeezed. David whispered, yes, we're dating. I finally managed to chase her. I don't want this to spread in the company for now. Could you please keep it a secret for us? The young girl, looking like she had just witnessed a great romance, nodded vigorously. Sure, sure. Different from when he was with me, David was calm and composed throughout. He was extremely reliable. He solved everything without me having to say a word. History won't repeat itself. After the colleague left, I looked at David. Big CEO, being my secret lover, you must be feeling wronged. Not wronged at all. I can wait until the day when we get the marriage certificate and then make it public. David tightened his grip on my hand and smiled gently, more brightly than the sun.